So I just saw the updates for the 2027 Ram HDs. We've already gone over the Fords, the GMs. GM ain't doing nothing for 2027 for the Chevy and GMC HDs. Ford is definitely going hard because they're probably going to be looking to do a redesign really soon. So they have just enough for the 2027 model year to probably carry them to that next redesign. Ram, on the other hand, they're putting a lot of their eggs in that Power Wagon Cummins thing, and that ain't it. And I'm only basing that off of what I see from Ford for 2027. And we'll discuss that at the end of the video. But I'm going to show you guys all the updates for the 2027 Ram Heavy Duty, which Stellantis is reporting on. Now, there's actually a lot of things here. And front and center is that Power Wagon Cummins. Stellantis is super excited about this. They're hyping this thing up. And I'm telling you, they are doing it the wrong way 100%. However, if you're looking to get a Hemi, they are reintroducing optional B-lock capable wheels. So if you're looking to order one of these trucks with the Hemi, that's actually some good news, I would say. Up next, this is some good news for business owners. So Ram 2500 emergency response vehicle joins the lineup as Ram's first pursuit capable 3/4 ton truck, available for fleet customers. Now this is great news for business owners simply because these trucks are over 6,000 pound gross vehicle weight. And if you want a super cool pursuit capable truck, 3/4 ton, this fits the bill. It looks cool. You can lift it. You can do some cool things with it. Very smart on Ram's part for the business owners. Up next, if you're looking at a regular cab with the 8-foot bed and crew cab with a 6'4", they're adding additional 400 pounds of payload capacity to the trucks over the 2026 because if you don't know, the gross vehicle weight rating was 10,000 pounds for these trucks for a very long time. Ford and GM decided to raise that number. They're both a little different. I think Ford is only 1,000 pounds. GM's a little weird because it's a little different for the crew cabs now, but 11,350 is the number that you've seen with those. And so what Ram is doing, they're going a step further and going 11,440. Right now, currently, it's 11,040 pounds. So you can get pretty big payload capacity now with these configurations. So if you're looking for a Hemi and you're looking for a bed camper or looking for a big payload, that is a truck that you should be looking at. Also, there is a new payload upgrade package. Now I'm going to pause for a second here, and I want to talk about this. GM introduced this in 2024 for the Chevy and GMC Cousins. And what they've done was they basically updated the frame and gave it the overloads and a few other things, like they upgraded the ring gear, etc. And that basically helped them to get more payload capacity and more capability. In some states, there are restrictions on 1 tons. I guess not necessarily restrictions, but there's more registration fees if you go to a 1 ton because they typically have over 12,000 pound GBWR. So in that case, these trucks make a lot of sense. Maybe you're someone that does towing for a living and you want to get a little bit more payload capacity for your truck. This is a really good option. Now, Ford does have what's called a payload upgrade package as well. And so they go about it a little different from Ram. I would say that Ram was almost a bullseye with this package, but let me show you guys what it offers. So it says here, available on most Ram 2500 trucks with the 6.4 liter Hemi, raises the GBWR from 10,000 pounds to 11,040 pounds, which it is right now. They have 11,040 pound gross vehicle weight rating for the Cummins equipped trucks. So now I'm just giving it to the Hemi, just so we're on the same page, resulting in best-in-class 2,500 payload of 4,580 pounds. Now, you guys know that this number is not for every configuration. This is for a stripped-down 2-wheel drive Hemi truck. Probably a regular cab, potentially. Short bed, or it's probably a long bed, but no options. So when you get a crew cab, limited, because you guys see, it's going to be for just about every trim level, including the Longhorn, Laramie. So once you start adding a bunch of crap to these trucks, you're going to probably have around 3,600 pounds, but still, that is really good payload capacity for a 3/4 ton truck. And you guys see what happens is they give you the 3,500 frame, leaf springs, and anti-spin rear differential. So it's going to ride like a 1 ton. And as you guys know, every state's a little different. So that's why these packages make a lot of sense, because when you go to a 1 ton, it does change registrations and things like that. So this is good news, but here's where I think Ram missed a mark. Most people want more payload capacity with the Cummins. I would venture to say that they should add that 11,440 pound GBWR to the Cummins equipped 3/4 tons. Even if they have to get the leaf springs and anti-spin and of course that 3500 frame. Now the truck's gonna ride a little stiffer, right? It's very possible that that's the main reason why people buy 3/4 tons is to get the better ride. And you get better tire capacity. So you can run it at 65 PSI on these trucks too. But the problem is Ram not capable of having the diesel with more capacity on the truck? I don't know. Because having 4,580 pounds of payload is really good on a 3/4 ton. But when you only can get the gas engine, well, that kind of sucks because that engine only has 405 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque. So it's definitely outgunned compared to the Cummins. So why not give this kind of payload to the diesel? That's just my 2 cents. I think that would make a lot more sense. And hopefully, maybe, just maybe, Ram will add that 11,440 gross fuel weight rating to the mega cabs and long bed 3/4 tons. The heavy duty trucks equipped with the 6.4 liter Hemi are now receiving the similar protest badge because most of you guys know back in 2023, if you were getting a Hemi equipped truck, they lost the Hemi badge. So it just didn't have a badge on the side of the trucks. Now they have this badge. And they say here, tradesmen, Black Express, Warlock, Rebel, Power Wagon, and trucks equipped with the Night Edition package receive a satin black version of it. The Sport Appearance package and Night Edition package are now offered on trucks equipped with the Level 1 and Level 2 equipment groups, previously limited to the Level 1 Plus and Level 2 Plus equipment groups. This is great news simply because they're lowering the price of these trucks. Some people just want the basic things and they want the style. And that's what they're doing here, and I'm applauding them for that. Now, a Sport Performance hood is now available as a standalone option on Rebel and Power Wagon, as well as on the Bighorn models equipped with the Night Edition or Sport Appearance package. That's good too. Honestly, I don't think I would buy a Ram without that hood, and I wish that they would offer that hood on the Longhorn, but we won't go that far. I'll pretend like I didn't say that. How about that? But I'm happy that they're offering it as a standalone option. That's good stuff. Now, the Warren electric winch is now offered as a standalone option on Rebel and Power Wagon models. So if you guys don't remember, that used to be standard, and then they decided to make it a part of an option package, and now they're basically making it a standalone option. I don't know how I feel about this, guys. That tells me you're going to pay more for the Warren winch because, in my humble opinion, they should just make it standard equipment because that's why most people are buying the Power Wagons in the first place. Now on the Rebel, they could have made it an option because I can see guys not wanting that. Now the anti-spin rear differential is now offered as a standalone option on 2500 tradesmen, previously requiring the level 1 equipment group. Okay, good. Here's some of the best news in this whole thing. Laramie models gain expanded Ram box availability and add new optional body color fender flares. So someone has said this in the comment section, but I needed to confirm before I started to really get excited about it. So yes, now the Laramies will have Ram box availability and body color fender flares. Back in 2023, they took these away. And I remember I was in South Carolina when I filmed the truck. I thought that they misbuilt the truck at first, but then I did some research and noticed, oh no, they took away the fender flares for 2023. And I made a big deal about it because it looked like a Bighorn. I thought it was a Bighorn when they told me that it was a Laramie. And I was like, well, no, that's definitely a Bighorn, but it was definitely a Laramie without fender flares. Lastly, we're getting the Serrano Green Metallic and Tank Clear Coat. And I fully expect Ram to add that tank color to the limited Night Edition Mega Cab trucks. Please do that. Could you imagine Tank, that Army Green, in a Mega Cab dually with Night Edition? Oh my God. And if you can get the red interior with it, that would be even better, but I highly doubt Ram does that. Now, we got to talk about this Power Wagon and why I think it's not a big deal. I think that Ram could have made it a big deal and decided not to. So for 2027, Ford's Super Duty will gain a long bed option for the Tremor package. That is great news. You know why? Because some guys don't really plan on taking the truck off-road. Some guys may own a lot of land. They might own a farm. And they like the idea of getting a truck already capable of going off-road. You have the electronic locker, the limited slip diff up front. You have 35-inch tall tires. You have trail turn assist. You have all these nice features, right? And you also have the capability that comes along with those trucks. So if you get a long bed Ford F-350, whether it be gas or diesel, you get a 48-gallon fuel tank. And a lot of guys just want all those features without having to go aftermarket. And most of you guys know when you do go aftermarket, you always have the dealerships fighting you on your warranty. So sometimes people just want to buy a truck and do nothing to it. They don't want to add no tires to it. They just want to buy it and be done. And in this case, this is where the Power Wagon is going to fail. The Cummins does not matter in the Power Wagon simply because we have the Rebel package for the HDs. That is literally the Power Wagon for the Cummins. And literally, if you go to a window sticker for the Rebel, it will literally say Power Wagon on it because that's basically what it is. Also, they're not giving it 18-inch wheels. It's just a Cummins with front and rear lockers. You're not going to get the winch with the Power Wagon with the Cummins. So you have to get a 6.4 liter Hemi if you want the winch. And the only way you can get a winch on the Cummins is if you go to a AEV edition and just get their front bumper. But who am I? I think that if they were smart, they would have added the Power Wagon to the long bed, to the mega cab, 3/4 ton and 1 ton. They would have also given it that really cool tank color. And I've already said this, the Power Wagon interiors, especially when you get like the level 2 equipment group, I can't remember what it is, but it's basically the Limited. And it's really nice. And I would say it's up there with my GMC. But the main reason why I have a 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 is simply because I did wait to see if Ram would do it. I was hoping that they would bring out a 1-ton Power Wagon. I did a video on it probably 3 years ago. I think before I even bought my truck, I said, please bring out a 1-ton Power Wagon mega cab and obviously keep the interior the same as what you see on the Limited. And I would have bought the truck 100%. But my GMC 2500 AT4X has enough payload for me and what I tow. And it has the interior that I wanted with the off-road look. I've always wanted, and you guys can go back very, very early on my channel, especially in the comment section. I told you guys, I've always wanted an off-road rugged truck on the exterior with a really nice interior. That's been my favorite truck. I've always wanted that setup. Nice interior, rugged off-road look on the exterior. And GM delivered. They delivered that. Ram was just really late to the party, and that's why I have this GMC, and I can't see myself ever parting ways with this truck. I don't want a new truck anymore because this has every single thing I could possibly want. So, hope this video was helpful. I think that Ram has some work to do still. These are good updates, right? There's some good updates. A lot of stuff they're just giving back to us. Let's be honest here. I mean, obviously the fender flares for the Laramie, that's good news because a lot of guys don't want to go up to the Limited. And based off of the exteriors, there's not a big difference anymore between the two. So I think that the Laramie is where it's at for the price point and what you can get for the options. Dang it. I did a perfect mic drop there and then I forgot to mention the bad news. So 360 camera is still an option, probably a part of the towing technology group going into 2027 because it was not mentioned in this Stellantis press release. On the half-ton side, 360 became standard on Limited and Longhorn, and on the Laramie, they made it a part of the equipment group. It's not the case for the HDs. So now you're going to still see these 2027 Ram HDs come to dealerships, especially like in the Laramie trim, without 360 camera. Almost every Laramie I touch does not have 360 camera. If you go to a GMC, Chevy, or Ford store, you look at the Lariat, you look at the SLT from GMC, and of course the LTZ from the Chevy, 9 times out of 10 they have 360 camera. And I think because of the price of the Ram trucks, they need to just make that a part of the equipment groups for the Laramies, especially the level 1.